how pleased we are that we're going to be able to get to see you guys at Uncaged. It's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. The whole run of shows is going to be great, but yeah, those sort of shows are a lot of fun.
So tell us a little bit for you, being in a band, what's the difference between doing a big festival show like that to your own headline show?
Look, I think there's just, when you're doing your own show, you might play with a band that you don't really connect with or whatever, but a lot of those sort of shows where we're playing with a lot of people we've known for years, and there's just a really festive vibe going on, so that's a lot of fun. I mean, our own shows obviously are a lot of fun too, but it's just they're pretty special, getting together with all the old heads and having a bit of a chin wag.
We actually had the guys from Tumbleweed on yesterday, and they were talking about the fact that when they're playing at a festival, they always realise that, especially these days, there's a lot of younger people there that might not be aware of their music. Are you guys aware of that as well, and do you try and win over those fans as well as fans for yourselves?
We don't really try and do anything that hard. That hard, I should say. I'm kind of I've got to say, I'm pretty oblivious to anything other than just hanging out, having some drinks and having fun doing the show at the time. I don't really think about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it is interesting though. I do wonder about that now that you've mentioned it.
Yeah, because we were talking about the fact that with these shows, especially, there's bands on there like Tumbleweed themselves that have been around for like 30 years, and then there's bands that have only been around for a couple of years. So you're going to have a fair mixture of crowd there, from old geezers like me right through to like 18-year-olds. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely advantageous for the older bands to be on those sort of lineups, and get seen by different people, for sure. That might be something I'll think about at home, but occasionally. But when I'm actually at the show, it doesn't really, compute.
And you guys must be like caged lions at the moment as well, eager to get back on the stage. I mean, the last 18 months, 2 years have been absolutely terrible here in Australia for the live music scene. How do you feel about getting back out there on stage again?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, everyone's kind of itching to get back out. They've gone completely stir-crazy, but on the other hand, probably the social anxiety with a lot of people has increased tenfold. So it's kind of, but I think, once we sort of get back in the swing of it, get some momentum happening, it's going to be fantastic. And I think we're all going to appreciate the whole thing a lot more,
And it's been a weird time for you guys as well, because you had the new album come out at a time when you couldn't tour. Did that feel kind of strange that you had that new album there, but you couldn't get out to tour it?
Yeah, but I mean, we were aware that could happen. I don't think any of us wanted to sit on an album for 2 years. I think we'd rather put it out under those circumstances and then just do another record a couple of years later, rather than waiting to release that. I've been writing stuff for the band, and I don't think we're going to see any of those 10-year gaps between records anymore. I think it was 5 years between the previous album and this one, and I reckon it'll probably be a couple of years in between the next two.
Is that how you spent most of the lockdowns? Did you spend a lot of the lockdowns writing and just concentrating on the future rather than the present?
I don't really think about the future. I just like to create music, but Wally's the man with the plan, and my brain just doesn't work like that. I wish it did. I really do. I spent a lot of the lockdown in Spain too, half of it in Spain, and I'm a bit of a hermit anyway, so kind of like I found it tough. It's kind of, I guess it's the fact you can't go out, that makes it hard. But I just spend a lot of that time creating that MEANIES album and writing for the Bag Full of Bees album as well.
Yeah, did that make it easier? Because that would have been pretty hectic for you otherwise, working on the two albums. And I was gonna mention Bag Full of Bees. It would have been a hectic time, but was it actually made easier by the lockdown?
I don't know if it made it easier, but it made my life easier having something to do, in
Yep.
lockdown. I think, I would have got it. It's hard to say, yeah. It probably might have taken a bit longer if things had been different. It definitely gave me a lot of free time, but which I put to good use.
Tell us a little bit about Bag Full of Bees. What sparked that project for you? Because a lot of people would have said that you are about to be so busy again with the Meanies. So what sparked that interest in starting up a brand new project as well?
I think it was living in Spain. I didn't really have a musical outlet even before the lockdown. So I don't know how many months before the lockdown I was already creating that stuff. It was a fair while, yeah, it was just I tried to get a band going over there with a few guys. It just didn't quite work out. So I was going a bit spare, and that's why I wrote the Meanies album and the Bag Full of Bees stuff, particularly when the lockdown happened. It just gave me so much kind of free time, and we're all going a bit crazy. So it worked out pretty well for me.
If it's not too personal, what led you to be in Spain, and what was that time like there?
I married a Spanish girl, and it was pretty intense. I mean, we did way too much drinking, at the time, as did everyone. It's kind of like I think we've kind of worked out what's best for us, and that's sort of me being here to do my bands and stuff, and then get over there when I can. It's really unorthodox, but we love each other more than anything, and as shit as it is, not being able to see her, and it's a lot longer than I would have waited if we hadn't have had the lockdown. I'm lucky to have her, and I do recommend not getting into long distance relationships though.
I was in one for a few years, so I know exactly what that's like.
It's pretty, it's challenging, isn't it?
It is, but I also found that it was a great time to write as well, because I found that a lot of my emotions came to the surface a lot more because you spend a lot more time thinking and deep in thought. Is that something that you've found as well?
I think the difficulty of the situation, being away from my wife and vice versa when I was overseas, being away from my family, definitely brought up a lot of sadness. And so if I'm over here, I'm away from my wife. If I'm over there, I'm away from my family. So it's kind of like you sort of can't win. So, there's a lot of fodder for a stimulus for creating music.
You mentioned before as well that Spain itself kind of inspired a lot of the music as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm sorry, say again?
That Spain itself being there inspired a lot of music as well. Tell us a little bit about what was inspiring you while you were there in Spain.
I think it was just not having an outlet. When I'm in Australia, I'm playing gigs, playing lots of gigs with the Meanies, or doing another, Sun God Replica I was doing before I left, and then suddenly I was just, the only other time I'd experienced that was when the Meanies broke up mid-90s, and I didn't do anything for 2 years until my girlfriend got sick of me and told me to get a band going because I was driving her crazy. So it was a similar kind of thing to that. I was starting to go a bit crazy, and I just needed to. I have to create. I have to constantly be creating. It's not even enjoyment's kind of not even the word for it. It's just a necessity, It's satisfying when I write a good song, but sometimes I don't even enjoy the process. It's just what I have to do. It's compulsive,
Yeah. And do you find that you have to be in the right mood to write though? Like you said, it's compulsive, but do you still have to be in the right frame of mind, or is it just almost like a junkie getting a fix? You need to write.
I think you're still going to be in the right frame of mind, but that will come with me. That will come after X amount of time, where I just have to go and do it, and it'll create the frame of mind, if you know what I mean. So,
Yep.
I can only go. I don't know how long. I haven't really thought about it. How many days or hours or whatever I can go without picking up a guitar and creating something before I start really getting sort of edgy and need to do something.
The other big question I had as well, putting together a set list for a festival show. You guys have got so many amazing tracks now in your back catalogue. That must be getting difficult these days to actually sit down and put together a set list for a festival like Uncaged.
No, for me, it isn't. I don't know what it'll be like for the rest of the guys in the band. I'm kind of very critical of my music, and I still, with all our back catalogue, struggle to put together enough songs to make a set list that I'm really happy with. You know, I think we're getting there now with the Desperate Measures album. Getting a good, well-rounded set. I think one more album, and I will be really satisfied with how many songs we've got to use for a set.
Yep. And we've got a lot of listeners out there that are so excited about this festival coming up. How important are festivals like this to the Australian music scene? Because I can remember going back 10, 15 years ago, and you had so many festivals every summer here in Australia, and now it's most of them are gone. Big Day Out's gone, Soundwave's gone. How important are these festivals to the Australian music scene?
I sort of don't know that I have a good handle on the Australian music scene at the moment. I mean, the last 2 years have been a bit of a write-off, and I don't know. I think they're I would assume they're very important, and I assume there's always going to be new festivals that will pop up and take advantage of the vacuum left by other festivals. It seems to be the way of the future, doesn't it, really? I mean, in some ways, I thought there was too many going on.
Yep.
So I'm sort of glad that there's probably not quite as many, because I think that, in a way, it was making the average kind of pub show suffer a bit.
Yeah.
I think you had a lot of probably young people saving up their money to go, to go to these things. But it's all about a balance, really. I love going to a festival, but haven't done it in a while.
Awesome. Well, we're going to be heading to one very, very soon. I know we are running out of time very quickly, but I've got 2 quick questions before I go. First of all, how can your fans support you guys at the moment while you've been off the road for 2 years? Have you guys got some merchandise and stuff out there at the moment that people can grab for both the Meanies and Bag Full of Bees?
Yeah, no. There's Bag Full of Bees just released our LP. A debut LP. That's about it for merch for us. We haven't been on Cheer Squad that long.
Yeah.
But the Meanies would have lots of stuff. Clothing, records. If you go to Cheer Squad, check it out. You'll be able to find out all about that.
Definitely, and we'll put that link up there for our listeners as well, so that they'll be able to get straight onto that. Mate, to finish off, what would you like to say to your fans out there before, not only that they grab tickets for Uncaged, but also to grab tickets to the Bag Full of Bees and the Meanies shows as well?
Thank you very much. It's nice to know there's still people out there who appreciate what we're doing, and that's really helps both financially, I guess, but more importantly, psychologically. I'm really excited about getting out and doing these shows next year.
Awesome. Well, mate, I'm just as excited to be able to head out and see you guys play live again. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today.